Hey jazz heads, so it's a Thursday and a Thursday is my favourite teaching day of the week, purely because it's a jazz teaching day, just jazz. So today I will be teaching 3 one-on-one individual lessons, all jazz lessons, followed by 2 of my big bands that I direct. One is a little bit of a younger group aimed at ages 9 to 12, and then the next one up is a slightly older group who are in their mid to late teens. So last year I started up an idea with them that we were going to do some listening before rehearsal started. We're going to listen to one jazz album a week, not the whole album, just one track from an album a week before each rehearsal. I came up with this idea because asking them and talking to them, it was quite clear that they don't really listen to very much jazz. So I set about addressing that. If you want to see what we've already listened to, then check out my Instagram account. I'll put a link in down there in the bio to what we've already listened to and to the account. I've got a little series going on there featuring what we're listening to at the moment. Today is J. So what we're going to listen to, let's go find something that's going to be J. So this is roughly alphabetized J. Ah, yeah. Let's go for this. Infinitude, Ingrid Jensen. That's what we'll be listening to today. Hopefully they like it. Jaffa cake? Anyway, sorry, just still finishing my Jaffa cake. Oh, it's good. So, what we do is, as I said, we listen to one track from an album, and I'll ask them some questions, just to kind of get them thinking a little bit more about the music and a little bit more in depth. So then I thought I'd go into a bit more depth for you guys about what you should be doing, in my opinion, to really digest jazz albums. 3 things you can do. Number 1, be analytical. So that involves working out what is going on. See if you can figure out the time. Is it in 4/4? Is it in 3/4, 5/4, 12/8, or something else? What's the feel? Is it swing? Is it straight? Is it Latin? Is it funk? If it's Latin, what kind of Latin is it? Is it salsa? If it's Cuban music, is it son? Is it rumba? Is it Afro-Cuban? What's the form? Is it a blues? Is it a rhythm changes? Is it a 16-bar form? Or is it a 32-bar song or a standard? Or is it something else altogether? What's going on with the arrangement? The arrangement's divided up into 4 parts. The melody. Who's playing the melody? What is the melody? Is there a melody? Is that melody written down? Is it improvised? 2, pads. Pads is the word we describe all things that are going on in the background. So whether it's the harmonic structure or the groove, we use the word pads to describe what's going on. So can you work out who's doing it and what's going on? 3, the counter melody. A lot of the time this is just the bass, the walking, if it's a swing tune, the walking bass acts as your counter melody. But other times, if you listen to something a bit more complex, with 2 to 15 horns, you know, it could be anything really, the counter melody. And 4, the rhythmic pulse. What's the rhythmic pulse? So by being analytical like that, whilst listening to a jazz record, can develop your own playing in the way that it will help you develop language, it'll help you develop a sense of what's going on and what jazz should sound like, and develop your own ear and opinions about what you want your music to sound like. The second thing I always ask when we're doing this listening and when we're really trying to digest jazz albums in full is who is playing. So because jazz is referred to as conversational music, it's not just the featured soloist whose album it is, who is the guy playing or girl. There are other people involved. I mean, if you take any great jazz album, hold on. So an example, let's take this. Miles Davis, Kinda Blue, best-selling jazz album of all time. From the front cover, we know straight away Miles Davis is playing on the album. But who else? Well, some of these things, some of it fairly obvious, you know, with the saxophone players being on the album, also quite well known with Train and with Cannonball Adderley. When you get down into track 2 of this album, Kind of Blue. Track 2 is a track called Freddie Freeloader. Now, famously on this album, Bill Evans, the wonderful piano player, was playing with Miles on this album. And for track number 2, Freddie Freeloader, it is a piano player called Wynton Kelly. But it's a piano, like, you know, we're using the same piano, right? Bill was playing on that piano one day, and like the next day, Wynton came in and played the same piano. How do we know there's a change? Listen out for idiomatic phrases. Idiomatic phrases are something that come as a characteristic of a jazz musician's playing. And if you listen to track 1 or 3 or 4, 5, and you hear Bill Evans playing piano, have a listen to that and then go straight to track 2 and have a listen to the difference in the language they use, have a difference in the style of playing, and all of a sudden you can hear, oh wow, that is Wynton Kelly. It's very, very, very different. So by being able to work out who is playing on what gives us a great idea of how to create different sounds depending on the style of music we are trying to play. If you want to sound like Sonny Rollins, we know we can listen to a certain Clifford Brown CD and hear Sonny Rollins. If you want a modal John Coltrane sound, you can go to Kind of Blue. Being able to identify individual sounds through idiomatic phrases really helps us to imitate. The third thing you really want to understand when you're digesting an album, and this is where it starts getting really deep, is the context of that album. And I think this is possibly the most important part for me. As a well-known saying, art, so music, reflects society. So knowing where and when that album is recorded gives us so much more of the story, so much more that's going on, and why that music sounds like why it does. This can probably sometimes get lost in the way that we get music now through Spotify and through YouTube and Apple Music, whatever way you want to get your music digitally. It's very difficult to see where it comes in the order of the order of life, or the order of jazz history. That's where these albums are really cool. We get inside the albums, and I still have 100 CDs sitting over there. Get the liner notes. Read the liner notes. That'll give you an idea of what's going on at the time, and it will always tell you in here. It'll always tell you, there we go. Don't know if you can see that. Recorded at Columbia 30th Street Studio, New York City, March 2nd, 1959. April the 22nd, 1959 as well. So it gives us some context. Also give you an idea into just the different palette of sounds that jazz musicians use within the same calendar year. So we said 1959. But look, 1959. 1959. 1959. That one always blows my mind. That was recorded the same year. Train did that the same year as he's playing on Kind of Blue. What? Also then go and do some research into what's going on in the musicians' lives at that time. So there's no use in listening to this without... It's useless listening to this followed by this without knowing what's going on in people's lives. And actually, if you can go and understand a little bit about it, it'll give you a much deeper relationship with that musician, and a much deeper relationship by listening to their music about what they're trying to communicate to you. So those things, in my mind, kind of really help me digest the music, and hopefully when you're going out there and listening to some jazz today, try and have a little think about some of those things and see if you get a deeper understanding of the music.